Hey yo, what's up? It's your boy Chris Bacula. Welcome to Chris Bacula Comedy Podcast, and this episode is brought to you by Chandio's Authentic Pakistani Cuisine. Order your lunch, dinner, and pulutan using the link below the video, okay? Because they offer legit na Pakistani cuisine kasi Pakistani nagluluto ng mga cuisine. So redundant, pero it's okay. And tonight, I'm very excited and very nervous as well because we have a very special guest tonight. This man doesn't need any introduction at all. Kasi kung batang 90s ka, you know the song, alright? You know that JABONGGA song, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one and only Calzado.
Yeah. Can they hear me on the mic?
Yeah, they can.
I don't actually have to move forward, no?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear, so I'm just gonna have to kick back, relax.
Yes. Ito yung maganda sa condenser mic, lahat ng background noise rinig eh.
Yeah,
kahit si Taylor Swift.
Hindi naman tayo mamimit na naman.
So OG, what's up? What's up?
Good, man. Good. So, as we always say, you gotta start from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
And speaking of 0 to 100, that's what's happening right now. We're starting all over again now, and things are opening up for everyone, and there's hope. There's always hope. Always gotta make sure that you gotta have a positive mindset and think that things will go well, and that there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, kasi coming from the pandemic, no?
Yeah, you gotta stay away from all this fear and anxiety from all this. It's just gonna keep you in this box. Of course, I'm not saying that that it's not but then still be safe, but at the same time don't have that fear masyado. Just know that everything will be okay and all right.
Yeah, you can't isolate yourself forever. Eh. We need one another. Eh.
You'll go insane.
Yes.
In the membrane.
True that. Cypress Hill. So OG, thank you very much for accepting my invite to do this podcast.
I've seen a couple of your episodes, and of course prior to that I've been invited by you to mga shows mo.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
It's an honor. It's an honor talaga.
It's a privilege. And, yeah.
So OG, starting sa hip hop, maraming gustong malaman yan. Like before the Legit Misfitz era.
Oh yeah.
Ano yung beginnings of Calzado?
As a kid, I was watching the show back in the days, Channel 9 called Dance 10, and that's where I was amused by all these dance moves, which at that time was popping, the locking and all that, yung mga ganun. And that's what drew me into even the music, yung mga planet rock, at saka yung mga murder rock, yung mga ganun. So I was like, wow, what's this? So I was introduced to the likes of names nila Jerry Dignam, Darwin Tuason, and so on and so forth. Even there was a time sila Francis M. and Andrew E.
They were dancing?
Yeah.
B-boy style?
Yeah. They were, before all this started for them, during the, nila. So, kumbaga, I'm proud to say that, I'm part of that in a sense now. I'm not actually there, there's a show, but just watching it and being exposed to it. That's what kind of drew me into, all this.
You were saying kanina, OG Dash, na you started sa Canada, joined attending ciphers?
Oh, no, when I migrated to Canada, and then, ng mga bandang 10, 11 years old na ako. That's where lalong mulat na yung that's when I really started listening to L Cool J, Run DMC, Grandmaster Flash, and Melly Mel. And then sa school kasi, I have mga classmates that are mga B-boys din. So, we would do stuff at school, after school, yung mga ganun type of things, B-boy, ciphers and all. Even sa mall, I've seen a lot of B-boys being in this parang circle inside the mall. Even kahit pag sabihin sila naman security, they'll be like, okay, break it up, and then they'll just come, ganun.
So parang yun ang cipher,
yeah.
Yung circle na yun.
Yeah, and so a lot of that actually was pretty much good exposure for me.
Damn.
And that's how I ended up really talaga.
Stage presence, meron ka na before pala.
No. I was shy at that time. I was like, what? 12, 11, 12? I wasn't part of the cipher. I was just watching. I was just a spectator. I couldn't compete with the likes of these, kasi at that time, lang naman ako I'm just a fan.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really, I was I learned already, but I'm not saying that I'm a professional. That at that time, but I was still young. So just growing up and being influenced by a lot of what I see, and at that time it was I wasn't aware that it was already hip hop, but it was already hip hop. It was starting. They started calling it hip hop already, at that time, and because rap was pretty much the music that was pretty much the staple I was into because of Run DMC, Cool J. Yeah.
So you were drawn to it, di ba?
Yeah.
The movements and then the sound and then someday I could do this.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
Yeah.
after that, OG, you went back to the Philippines.
Yeah, I went back to the Philippines, 1990, and then at that time I brought in some records, and so I wanted to actually just get into DJing, but I was pretty much learning now how to rap, freestyles and all that kind of stuff. At the 16, 17, but then I was really drawn into like being a DJ. Talaga. I really wanted to mix. I really wanted to do just like. So my childhood friend, who's not with us anymore, who's with us in spirit na lang.
Rest in peace.
Shout out to you, Paolo. So I would go and attend and actually be an apprentice and just like help out with equipment, the record crates and all that, yung mga plaka, and would just be there pag may mga parties like mga debut, weddings and all that kind of stuff. Even just mga kahit street parties din, mga ganun. And just learning the ropes and just learning how to mix, that kind of stuff is what really actually helped me a lot.
Yung basic setup ng sound system
Yeah.
during those events, di ba?
Yeah, and then he would teach me. They would teach me how to mix. They would teach me how to do like the whole BPM thing, how to count and all that. And
Parang ang komplikado, no? Parang at first.
Remember at that time wala pang serato pa nun. So everything was really talagang vinyl.
Damn.
So you had to really talagang learn how to like.
Like hear the beats per minute, no?
And then saka sa mga naman, may mga naman dyan eh. If it says 99 BPM or 120 or 110, or minsan, you just really have to learn it
have
by
an ear.
Yeah. And God is good. So He gave me the gift of like having that ear.
Pero ang hirap, no? Parang you have to change every
Yeah,
every
I never
moment.
get to do that panutanim, but just practicing lang how to mix it. Right, from one record to this, mixing it, using the crossfader, and eventually learning how to scratch and all that. So, I've been going to a lot of yung mga iba pang events na mga kakilala din namin, mga DJs, going rin sa mga nila.
Mga clubs,
Not really clubs pa nung time na yun, just mga lang,
mga
like,
events.
like school events siguro and all that kind of stuff. I would see a lot of yung mga ibang mobiles din would have their own whole setup din.
Mga
Yung
lights.
Not just lights, but we're talking about the speakers.
Oh.
Yung mga tinatawag nila at the time, mga earthquake. The big basses na mga boom, boom. Ganun talaga. So, yeah, a lot of that.
Sa Malabon, may kilalang sound system, yung PX. PX na sound system company. I think si Ace, he used to get equipments there. If I
yeah.
rent. Kasi malaki siyang sound system company.
Yeah, a
PX.
lot. There's a lot that that were Exile was part of the Exile at the time. They were mobile. All these rin, like
DMC, ganyan.
Oh no, DMC is actually siya eh. That's a faction. That's actually that's a different whole thing. That's actually for some mga competing DJs.
Oh.
Disco Mix Club. So there's a Disco Mix Club Philippines. Shout out to you, Sir Jesse Gonzalez.
Shout out.
So yeah, and we'll get into that later. Yeah, and that whole DMC thing. But yun na yun, actually start na rin yan mga early 90s eh.
So pretty parang from this yung sa inyo MC Dash, parang yung beginning siya very technical kaagad eh. No?
Yeah.
Yung equipments kasi number 1 yan eh.
Yeah, everything was really technical. Everything
May
was
mga
like
friends akong rapper pag nararatan sila pag di ko magana yung mic, bakit ayaw tumunog ng cellphone ko sa
yeah.
sa mixer, bakit? Kasi hindi sila particular doon eh.
Yeah.
Wala sila plug and play mo na lang lahat yan.
Yeah. So I mean, it's important to really know, at least to have a little knowledge paano. And that's good for me because I have knowledge of being a DJ. So whenever there's a show and I say, just na lang here.
Tama. Malaking bagay may technical know-how eh.
Yes,
Especially pag live performance, no?
Exactly.
Kasi hindi mo alam kung paano mo ito troubleshoot. Parang shit, yung sound ko. Mahalaga sa musician yung sound eh.
Exactly.
Yung quality of sound.
That's what brings it, life to whatever you're doing when you perform.
Kasi doon mo inaano yung audience mo eh. Parang tinitake.
Yeah, because that's the music that you created, and that's the music that you represent, and that's your sound. That's your that's who you are.
So from events, OG, gusto niyo maging part ng scene, like the hip hop scene sa Philippines.
Yeah, like I was telling you a story about how I started just being a fan, and just reaching out to the likes of Francis M and Andrew E. I was a fanboy. I remember going to Heartbeat Mega Disco at 4 in the afternoon just to see Andrew E's show. And gabi yun eh. But I was like an early bird.
Kasi gusto mo yung first to see him
Yeah, and then of course, he just pulled out the parking lot with his, Pajero at that time. It was a white Pajero, I remember. And then he came out the door and all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, it's Andrew E. I say, hey, what's up, Andrew? Sabi ko, hey, what's up, homeboy? Nanood ka mamaya yung show. Sabi ko, yun nga ako dito. I'm here to watch the show. And
Were you with friends?
No, I was just with me and my driver. At the time, I was 16. I didn't learn how to drive, but until I didn't have a license because galing pa akong Canada.
Pero very eager ka to be part, to know the people.
Yeah, because pretty much they already came out with their album. Like Francis came out with Yo, and then si Andrew came out with Humanap Ka ng Pangit. So I'd buy their stuff at Odyssey pa.
Odyssey, shout out, nawala na ngayon.
Buying tapes pa ng time din. I wasn't buying CDs pa ng time because CDs pa wasn't pa rin eh. Pero tapes talaga.
Oh.
And I remember they were like less than 100 pa. They were like 90 or 80 pesos pa. 80
Odyssey,
pesos, yung tape. 80 pesos.
Sobrang sinashoplift namin before yung mga tapes sa Odyssey. Napaka bad influence eh.
Hey, I remember those days too in Canada. I used to do the 5-finger discount. And take note, may mga dun yung parang may hard case pa yan. So what you have to do na lang is just kind of like, But then again, those were the days. Don't ever do that, kids.
Yeah, parang we live life trial and error, di ba? Mali yun, tas we learn from that. Kaya nga,
Tapes, records, yeah, we used to do that. This jacket. Shout out to Sound Connection, that shop where we used to do that. But then again, at the end of the day, we were still legit. We still bought pa rin vinyl.
Yeah. Ngayon, nagiging thing na yung vinyl again.
Yeah, it's being especially now because a lot of these shops now they carry na yung mga home entertainment turntables. So with that, syempre, you need vinyl.
Yes,
and
because
and now because a lot of these labels now are actually pressing now vinyl. So imagine from like if you wanted an old Fugees album, like for example the score, you can get it now on vinyl.
Damn, na mas mahal, no?
Oh, well, yeah, it's like what 1,000 plus.
Oh, meron sa Mega Mall yung Satchmi.
Satchmi.
Satchmi. Grabe, mga 2,000 pataas eh.
I think most of them kasi it's either hard to find. Yeah, right. And even yung mga na rin, tawag dito, even sa hip-hop, yung mga luma rin. Or even mga new, like, they press yung mga Kendrick Lamar, mga J. Cole, no? And but wow, J. Cole on vinyl, di ba?
Si Dave Chappelle nga yung podcast niya naka-vinyl eh.
Oh, di ba?
Tapos parang 100 copies lang yung release niya worldwide.
Because, a lot now of collectors really talagang would want to collect, even if it's, let's say, new. Pero, sa mga susunod na taon, 5-10 years from now, that's going to be value, may value siya eh.
Tama.
Just like the ones that came before that. The ones that are actually being collected by other, enthusiasts of, collecting vinyl. That's why shout outs to all the, yung mga collectors, crate diggers.
Sino ba yun? Si
DJ RB1, the Beat Traveler, shout outs to you.
Shout out. Si Crazy Kyle din.
Crazy Kyle din.
Shout out.
But then I remember kasi before the pandemic, I attended yung event ni RB, which is yung Kagatan. Dito siya, Alimol. Right? Shout out to Ivan. What's up?
What up, Ivan?
Pakita ka muna.
Pakita ka muna dito. Ayan.
Don't be shy. Don't be scared.
Special guest. Shout out.
What's up, guys?
Yan. Shout out. Naka, attire. Full attire. Kush.
Push mo yan. So, yeah, we did a show with RB, and sobrang ang daming collectors. Like, you will even see, like, abogado, mga ganun, mga doktor. Just
Diba?
going there and just collecting vinyl. They would spend like 15 to 20,000 pesos.
For vinyl, no?
Not just for one, but a whole bunch.
Ano pinagkaiba, OG, ng vinyl sa Cubao X compared sa mga ganong mga mamahaling vinyls?
Depende kasi.
May mga mura doon sa Cubao X eh.
Yeah, sa Cubao, depende kasi. Sometimes they would just have lang yung mga nakalagay lang dyan. Which is parang, tigta 30 pesos lang, yung mga ganon. And then yung mga iba talaga, like yung mga 100, 150, yun na yung mga medyo parang ano na yung parang kumbaga good condition, mid condition type of mga vinyls na eh. Or yung mga yung warp. They look for yung mga, yung pag warp na kasi siya, yun yung mga tipong ano na yan, yung mga nandun na lang yan sa isang parang kahon.
May mga skip na yun.
Yeah, yung mga kamot-kamot ng konti. But actually, it's still ano pa rin. I think it's because of yung hinahanap pa rin natin dyan, yung mga covers. Ako, when I collect vinyl, I look for the yung not just yung content, yung
cover art.
but the cover art din.
Oo nga.
Yun yung very talaga, na hindi mo na talaga mahanap na pwede mo pa rin siyang gamitin if you're an artist, na pwede mo siyang ma-incorporate sa mga, like if you want to come out with something, like you want to do your cover na ganyan din.
Like yung Legit Misfitz album.
Yeah.
Yung cover art nun. Now, which you draw, no?
Yeah.
Diba? Parang yun yung thing na nalaman ko ngayon lang na you draw eh.
Yep.
Never ko yun expect yun before na parang, kaya pala puro, parang, ang tawag doon? Parang doodle ba tawag doon? Yung drawings, yung, yung cover art.
Yeah. So everything was just, well, I mean, it's basically, I guess, something that I was na rin with. And so, yeah, I was telling you a story about how that all started. Like when I met sila Boom, being, of course, after, being a fan lang of Francis and Andrew, and of course meeting Francis at a TV station, and because he knows my dad, and they're in the business and all that, and so pretty much I started hanging out sa radio station, sa 89 DMZ, the Broadcast City.
Yes.
Because before Wave, it was DMZ, 89 DMZ.
Yeah, history.
Yeah, so when I met sila Boom, when they were guested sa show ni Francis, and because we had this mutual we're from Canada and all that, and so I started hanging out with Boom, and then eventually befriended sila Jhego and everyone else, and then shortly then I started going to their shows, becoming parang like their PA, and then
Yung music
I showed them my artistry, being an artist and all that, and then Boom came up with this idea na, hey, I want to do something, like start this parang shirt thing. So there's this parang thing that he would make me do, like for example, I remember he made me do this, syempre that time that was Chicago Bulls, the dynasty.
Oo.
So, pinakamainit na nun. So I drew a Carabao, just like the Bulls, and then instead of Chicago Bulls, it was Manila Boom.
Naging localized tuloy yung Chicago Bulls logo.
But it never came out. It never, eventually, I don't know.
Bakit?
We started doing other stuff like Jolly Boom.
Boom na Jollibee.
Yeah, because Boom had the signature glasses na so every
Square.
like for example the Manila Boom, he had the glasses, and then the Jolly Boom, imagine Jollibee with glasses, shades na
And being brown and all.
parang ganon, yeah. So we came up with that, pero it never actually we printed a couple, pero it was just for them lang to wear.
Not really yung mass
It wasn't
production.
it wasn't marketed or
Sayang.
anything like that, yeah. So that was the first one, but we had another one too, which came out, which is called Pros and Cons. This is about naman yung pagiging Pinoy mo. Like yung mga fishbowl vendors, taho vendors. So I drew like yung mga parang 3D type na drawings. Eventually we sold that at the store called Yaware sa Isitan Recto. It was a store called Yaware. It's like parang siya, it's a shop, and then there's iba-ibang but it's local printed. And parang alam mo American Boulevard.
Oh, parang ganun yung
Parang ganun
dating
din
niya.
siya. And then si Francis M was the one endorsing that store before. He was endorsing yung yung Yaware. Kasi he came up with this mambo sack na parang yung ginagamit na dati nung time nung meron ako.
Parang durag.
Parang siyang durag. Yeah, oo. So, parang siyang ethnic siya na So, they call it the mambo sack. So, we actually marketed yung mga shirts na yun dun sa store.
Yaware.
Sa Yaware. We called it Pros and Cons.
Pros and cons.
Yun. So balik tayo sa that's where si Jhego started writing lyrics and all rhymes and all that. And ako rin naman kasi at that time din. So Boom saw the potential na, why don't we just do something with this? And so that's where we formed Legit Misfits. Actually, that name Legit Misfits actually came from Boom's one of his hard disk floppy disks. Because we would store samples from mga floppy disks, and because at that time meron siyang keyboard yung Ensoniq, so all the samples were stored sa floppy disk. So there was this one floppy disk with a labeled, it said Illegitimate Misfits.
Illegitimate Misfits.
Yeah. So sabi niya, hey, this sounds like a good name for our group. But then again, it was too long because of the illegitimate.
Yung syllables kasi, no?
Yeah, ill. So tinanggal yung ill, the IL, and then the mit. So Legit Misfits. So yun na yun. That was a short.
Sa catchy eh. Legit Misfits.
Oh, Legit Misfits. So yun na yun. So we just kind of ran with that name na, and then we started doing demos. Our first demo that we did was Funky One de la Cruz before Jabonggga. Then that song Jabonggga actually,
it hit
our one of our dancers, and because kasama ni Jhego sa Blooming Tree, salitang ano yun eh, dun yun eh, yung
slang,
oo, yung
Persian slang.
Oo, yung Jabonggga. Sabi ng dancer, kayo ng kanta tungkol sa Jabonggga. Sabi ko, yung Jabonggga. Yung pala yun.
Oh.
Okay. And then, sige, tapos we brought it up kay Boom. Sige, let's do it. So when we did, at that time pa, it was a slow beat. Hindi pa siya yung mabilis.
Yung hype na
Oo. It was actually parang a beat from Funk Dubious pa eh. It was, I don't know, can you curse? Can we curse here?
Yes, we can.
Shitting on him.
Shitting on it.
Oh. Dum, dang, dum, dum. Parang ganun lang
Parang
siya.
blues.
Hindi, parang ganun lang siya na beat. Tapos, so, Jabonggga, Jabonggga, okay, so we were so na yun. Jabonggga. Tapos, parang bagal.
Oo.
So we Boom decided na, let's just
Hype it up. Hype it up.
because sumikat na yung Insane in the Membrane, yung Jump Around, yung mga ganung type na ano. And then Masterplan did a lot of the mga parang
Bring that booty over here, over
so let's make it upbeat and make it punk club.
here.
So he decided to come up with that, yung beat na yun. Yun what you hear now, and it worked. It even mas nag-click siya.
Oh, nag-hit talaga siya.
I mean, nag-click na from that sense na, uy, okay to. So yeah, we just started like eventually coming out with demos muna until sa nirefine namin and all. It took us a year for everything to just
Finished
manifest.
product.
Yeah, from just making the music, to writing the lyrics, and just even memorizing them. So when it
Grabe.
came down to shopping for a record deal, so eventually we landed a deal with Octarts International. Before it was called Octarts EMI, Octo EMI. So one of the heads sa label, si Sir Ricky Lakad,
Shout out.
and sila Bob Guzman. Hello, Sir Bob Guzman.
Pero
Of
grabe.
the famous band The Boyfriends.
Oo nga. Shout out.
Yeah, Sir
Pero
Bob.
hirap ng OG, no? Yung parang, ang hirap kasi ma-determine kung magiging classic yung yung hit eh. Kasi lahat ng mga musicians ngayon, they're all thinking, how do we make a hit? How do you make a hit?
Yeah.
Were you thinking that way? Nung
It was the
ginagawa
hook
niyo?
basically that captured the whole that made it Jabonggga, and then because what's Jabonggga, and then parang so they liked it.
Kasi may underlying meaning.
Not just that, because of the whole parang, and then because of the music then.
Mula gabi hanggang umaga.
Yeah, and then at that time pa, medyo medyo raunchy pa yung lyrics pa ni Jhego, even if it was like double meaning pa. Pero medyo so they had to tone down yung lyrics niya. And a little bit of this. So we revised it, actually came out with the final product, and we just recorded the whole album within a week. So Green Hill Sound Studios.
Ay, yun yung bass, di ba? Parang yun yung bass ng mga recording studio.
Yeah, dito siya sa Gilmore.
Oo. Sabi nga ni OG Viewer,
Sa may
dumatay pa
Valencia.
sila.
Sa may Valencia Street.
Oo. Parang lahat daw ng artist dun eh. Like
Oo.
intro voice, ganyan.
Yeah, every even here's the thing, no. When we were recording our album, Francis M was recording his album Freeman at that same time,
Same time.
1994.
Oh.
So we'd like bump into each other. Like they'd be in the big studio. Kasi you had the setup in bands and all that. Siyempre, hardware syndrome
Oo.
Kami dun sa parang meron silang storage room na ginawang studio. So, doon kami. Pero it was nice kasi parang lang siya, very
compact siguro yung dating.
lang siya yung what you call this, parang intimate lang na studio. You know what I mean? And then it just had the booth, and then it had the ano na, yung console and everything for the engineer to and then we were using ano pa eh, yung that, pero VHS format pa siya. VHS format pa yung ano niya. So lahat ganun.
So ilang hours kayo nag-record nun? The whole day?
The whole day, you know, we would just be there for like, kasi syempre, ang nagbabayad yung ano eh, record.
Octo-Arts EMI.
Yeah, they were the ones actually paying for, kasi there was a budget.
Oh.
There was a budget for the studios and there was a budget for everything that in, which, you know, kaya nga, 1 week nga lang eh. If it took a year, then sobrang mahal na yun.
So it was Jhego, you and Boom in
Yeah,
the studio?
yes.
So yun yung base ng group ng Legit Misfits.
Yeah,
Boom,
the three of
Jhego,
us.
and
Yeah,
you.
yeah, the three of us.
Damn.
But then Boom would be like the incognito. Siya yung behind the ano lang.
Behind the scenes.
But he's the producer. He's the one that made the beats. He's the one that kind of like conceptualized some of the the stuff din sa album.
Damn.
You know, he's like the third member, but this not there. Kasi he had at that time na Kulay. He was working on Kulay na rin at that time.
Ayaw niya lang magkaroon ng parang ano na yung tao na parang, hey, he's from Kulay, pero he's also here in Legit.
Oh, at the time pa rin kasi medyo ano pa eh, it was hindi pa ano pa sa tao yung ganun. Or even sa mga, you know, sa fans.
Hindi pa uso yung ma-associate ka sa gantong image kasi ito na yung image na binild mo.
Well, kinda, yeah. But then again, you know, Boom gave us this whole parang, you know, with Legit, it's parang like, it's the alter ego version of what he was making at that time.
Oh.
Because he couldn't do that with Kulay. You know what I mean? So Legit Misfitz was pretty much parang, we represented that. That's why when he said he was not the father, but the originator of flip hop. Kami naman yung sons of flip hop.
Oh, so that's where it came from.
Yes, sir.
Sons of flip hop.
Yeah, he was the kind of like the father that mentored us to that style, and then so we carried it on traditionally.
Yun naman sa Legit Misfits nun, parang you had this parang may mga terms na kayong ginagamit noon na hindi pa alam ng mga masa, like yung flip top, di ba? Parang you were saying it na on your records eh.
No, flip hop is different. No, flip hop is Filipino hip hop. That's just the short term for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we were trying to use that in the sense is what we rap about. You know, the metaphors and all that, it's basically localized.
Mm.
Like, you know, like for example, if there was, you would hear some songs, but like, so, you know, like foreign, some like English, like, you know, their metaphors would be like, I can't lose like Parker Lewis, I'm undefeated. Parang ganon. Dito naman, ang ginagamit natin, flip and metaphors is like a balisong. Because I'm so damn funky, just like Bagoong. So it really represents yung pagka-Pinoy mo.
Tama.
Brown and proud, just like Pajero, you know,
Air Chinelas.
Diba? And that's why we came out with, aside from Funky One de la Cruz and Jabonggga, we came out with Traffic, huh? P-I-K. It's Traffic with a P-I-K.
Yes.
And then of course, yun nga, Air Chinelas. Air Chinelas was actually one of those favorite songs na, you know, we celebrated it because of the fact that as being Filipino and just being, you know, growing up in the streets, or even for that matter, if you enjoy basketball, if you don't have sneakers, if tinatamad ka mag-sapatos, then mag-chinelas ka.
Spartan.
Yeah, whether it's Spartan, Rambo, ano pa ba yung
Rambo, diba?
diba?
Beach
Schmagol.
walk. Beach walk.
Beach walk.
Grabe. Ngayon, literal lang Nike, merong Air Max na chinelas.
Yun na nga eh.
Diba? Slides eh.
Which actually, dapat they should pay us for...
Dapat may patent kayo doon.
Yun na nga. Soon, there will be. So, watch out for that.
Grabe yung
never know.
OG, yung sa mind niyo parang you conceptualize ideas na nun eh, before.
Yeah. And that's what made us kaya nga Filipino hip-hop, because we celebrated things that were from our environment here and from, you know, the culture. You know, that's what kind of like, it was a fusion of everything that you would listen to, you know. Like, because Master Plan was Master Plan. Death Threat was Death Threat.
Yes.
4E's Flavor was 4E's Flavor. And all other, I know, Francis M. had his own, I know. But as Legit, we had like this one big giant melting pot of everything.
Filipino,
yeah.
No? Damn. Si Andrew kasi yung bastos daw, di ba? Yun yung ano niya, whole image.
And that's why, you know, with the Jabonggga, that's what kind of like drew tradition with, because of Andrew with that. So it was really talagang everything in one big giant melting pot.
What I like about Legit, yung yung variety of genre, like when you did Jabonggga, may reggae.
Yeah.
Di ba may reggaeton dun sa
Because at that time na meron na yung reggae hip hop. You know, ragamuffin, yung mga ganun na.
Ragamuffin girl.
Ragamuffin girl.
She's
Okay,
a
Apache Indian, you know. Pick up yourself now, say, you know. So we really incorporate a lot of that And then we just made it parang ano. There was only a few of us that was doing that. I remember like even like with Master Plan, Johnny Crush, shout out to my boy Johnny Crush.
Shout out.
Crazy Addicts Tribe, baby. You know we part of the tribe.
THC.
THC, baby. So, you know, we were actually the first ones to kind of like incorporate well, not the first ones, but kind of like we were one of those
Innovators ng sound.
Kasi even with bass rhyme, they would even use yung basura. Somebody turn up. Put up. Diba? So you really had that. But then this one kasi had ragamuffin yung like roughneck. Like, bida mo na music pa, me feeling irie, you know. And then with the master pa, me feeling irie, so irie we be.
Yeah.
So talagang yun na yun eh. We set that, na siguro on that level nung time na yun. So it made it really more, exciting.
Oo nga. At saka parang naging open ba yung tao na, pwedeng makonect yung reggae sa hip-hop?
Yeah, because it's, like I said, that's what hip-hop is. There's branches there. It's all, again, it's culture. So there's a lot of musical influences from jazz, rock,
Blues.
R&B, blues, even classic.
Yes.
That's why when you hear all these samples and breaks, you'll hear a lot of hey, this is from this band or this is from this group.
Sounds familiar, di ba?
Yeah, because that's what it is. So with reggae, it's the same thing. There's even reggae. So in a couple of songs now that you hear, even now, they still incorporate, reggae, dance hall and all that kind of stuff. And now you have Afro beats and all that kind of stuff happening now, di ba? So yeah, that's basically hip hop is pinaka-core. That's one of those. Now you can't just say it's a genre, but you can say it's a movement, it's a culture because you have its elements in.
Yes.
Like you have the b-boying, you have the MCing, you have the DJing, you have the graffiti art, and then there's now beatboxing, and there's urban culture.
Yeah,
there's
before nag-ban sa
the
clubs.
clothing, the clothing and all that, and you have the knowledge, and you have even pagiging entrepreneur. That's why there's a lot of businessmen na rin in hip hop, and one of them is like Jay-Z, DJ Khaled now because he's one of those the pioneers of just being a businessman. Even like sila Rick Rubin,
Di ba?
Russell Simmons, Def Jam.
Def Jam, shout outs Philippines.
Yay.
Okay, invading the Philippines.
Getting there.
So parang yung Funky
Funky One
Entertainment, OG, is a sub-division, sub-label of Def Jam.
But we started that 20 years ago, back in 2001. So when we came out with our fourth album, which is hindi na part na siya ng Octo Arts, but na siya, Galaxy Records. So we did that on our own now, without Boom. Kasi at that time na Boom was very busy now with a lot. Yung Vibe, aside from Vibe Station, he was doing urban mix na. Sa Mix, Studio 23. He was doing that already. So we just decided, after Recognize, we just decided to do the fourth album. So we had help from, of course, shout out to Loki, the Boy Wonder, Crazy Ilion, and the other people rin.
Recognize.
So we came out with that album, Sandang Porsyento. At that time na nun, kapapasok na ng Fubu.
Sa Philippines, no?
Yeah, and at that time, Fubu was distributed by Pac Sports. And shout out to Mr. Nick Tuason.
Grabe yung Fubu. Halos lahat ng rapper sponsored.
Doon ko nalamit si Carlo Manikis. Because he was a graphic artist at that time. And he was the one who actually created yung album cover namin ng Sandang Porsyento.
Shout out.
Diba?
Pero yun yung parang comeback album mo ba?
Not really.
Ng Legit
Not
Misfitz.
really a comeback, but then again, because we took a 2-year sabbatical. So I went back to Canada in 98. Jhego's here. So coming back, parang nag-meet kami ulit ni Jhego. So sabi namin, let's just come up with another album, but let's just do it on our own. So after Recognize, yun na nga, we started working on Sandang Porsyento.
Yung 100% ba, OG? Ito ba yung may One Time for the Brown Man?
No.
Iba pa yung album na yun?
No. That's pretty much my na yun eh. Solo ko na yun.
Solo, Dash Calzado na yun?
Yeah. Because after Sandang Porsyento, and then we came out with another parang project which is called Pinoy's Volume 1. Yun na yung parang compilation now which featured Urban Flow, Decoy, Mesocero, who else pa ba? Lady Diana, Mestizas. So it was another project after Sandang Porsyento. And then after that, I was so busy doing I was emceeing at the clubs. As in sobrang
side gigs na, no?
Where Else, Club 5, Culture Club.
Grabe.
Yun. And then because out of town gigs then, and then Jhego decided to go solo. He was the first one to go solo sa amin dalawa. So he did the Felix Bakat album. Felix Bakat. But then again, he would guest me.
Okay.
So that's one thing that I'm really about it. Kasi kahit na nag-solo kami, he still had me pa rin on his There's 2 albums that he did, that and Noipi. So I was still featured on that album, but it's
So he never really went like solo, parang okay, wala na si Dash. Parang still, he just parang went to do his own thing.
Yeah, I went to do, and I did mine, which is yun na nga.
Yeah.
And then eventually I did radio na rin, in mga 2004.
Yeah. For a time, naging tuloy-tuloy yun eh, no?
Yeah.
The wave.
No, I started with Magic.
No.
In 2004.
I never could na...
Yeah. That was the staple, It was because of Sarge. And at that time, nag-umpisa pa lang rin nun si Tony. So we had the mid-morning thing. So it was like the 3 of us, me, Tony, and Sarge. So we came up with this show called These Nuts.
These Nuts.
You know, mid-morning, you call it These Nuts. And people are like, what the hell is These Nuts?
These Nuts.
Well, it's These Nuts.
These Nuts.
Hello?
And pumatok din yun for like ilang years.
Not really. For a short time, and then eventually Sarge left sa Magic, and then that's when I started learning the ropes now, becoming, as a solo DJ. So I used to do Graveyard.
Oh, oo, napakinggan ko yun.
I did Graveyard from like 12 to 3. No, actually 3 to 6 pa nga eh. Yeah, dude.
Na hindi prime time, ha? Parang minsan, parang may
No,
nakikinig
because
ba?
hindi ka naman pwedeng basta-basta isalang kagad eh. You have to learn how to work the console.
Oh.
So when I got comfortable in working now with the consoles and all that, parang for me it was like, okay, fine. So I can do actually a bit of, hindi pa ako nakapag prime time, pero I was more kasi into doing because at that time I was balancing radio and club.
Yung MCing.
Yeah. But it was just so hard because, biro mo, they'll schedule me on a weekend, on a Saturday morning.
Damn.
So isipin mo Friday night, I'd be at the club.
Then,
The next morning, I'd be on at 6 in the morning and I'm like drunk and all that. Fucking, I'm like,
so minsan doon ka na sa studio. Doon ka na sa couch na natulog minsan. Hey, it's your time na, Dash.
Yeah, and there was one time then I was caught off guard. I fell asleep. Not too long though, pero siguro there was like 2, 3, 5 minutes akong I was dead air. Tapos yung guard sabi, Sir, dead air ho kayo.
Oh, what?
Oh, magic hindi na po na. My name is Dash. This is,
Yung cold pa naman sa studio.
Oh yeah, like
diba?
this cold. It was
Like,
really... So he had a jacket, and then sa Magic kasi, he had yung CDs pa nun eh. So behind me were like these CDs. Tapos yung mga naka-cartridge pa. So we had this parang player that we had to, minsan pag hindi siya nag-play, patay.
Yun.
Oo, dude. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Okay. Yan na. Tapos na yung commercial. Okay. Blank. Magic, hindi na point na. Oh. Okay, fine. So yeah, I did that 2-year stint with Magic, and then eventually sabi ko muna, teka muna, this is affecting so much of my because I really wanted to really focus din on getting back into the club.
Oh.
So for a year nagpahinga ako, I did that and music again. Mm-hmm. So from there, yun kami nila Art Strong, we would hang out, and that's where we formed the Beatmatics.
Yan. History.
From 2006-7, and then 2007, I got a call from people from Wave. And they said, hey, Dash, would you like to work for us at Wave? And at that time na yun, nagsisimula na sila doing R&B and a bit of hip-hop na. And at that time na si Tito Rai, Armaments,
Shout
Armamento,
out. Just Rai.
Music Colony, what's up? So he was working there na sa Wave.
Oo, pinapagyon. Dati may the early grind with Ann and Rai.
Yes, that was it.
Sobrang Wave baby ako eh, simula high school.
So I started so they made me start doing panggabi. Like, I think it was the time slot was from 7 to 10 or like no 6 to 9. I don't know, but mga ganong oras. So it was with why am I so old and starting to forget but so I did that. Kasama ako.
Kaya co-host, no?
Yeah. So I started that. And eventually nilagay na ulit ako sa solo. But it was fun kasi yun eh. That was actually fit for me, that station, because yun eh.
Hip-hop and R&B.
Yeah.
Wala nang Jody Mango.
No, Tito Joe was still the station manager at that time pa. So he was there. So naabutan ko pa si Tito Joe.
Yung love notes.
He had love notes there. He still had love notes pa then there, at that time when I came in, So it was si Jada.
O si
Kasama.
Jada.
I'm so sorry, Jada. My mind is messed up now.
Grabe, parang brings me back high school days, no?
Jada was my
Sila Pam.
Yeah, Pam, Jada,
Kumbaga si Jimmy muna dati.
Hey man, it's me, Jimmy Muna. How you doing, man? I miss Jimmy, man. Yeah.
Does he still rap?
But he's into like engineering.
Oh.
Like he's like
The sound engineering.
But I think he does. He makes beats. He's a producer then.
Oh.
But yeah, Jimmy, Bry,
Nathan,
me,
Nathan
Pam,
J.
si Anne, even Janice.
Oh, si Janice.
Janice. We were that Jason on the radio. Si George. We were that sila your girlfriend's favorite DJ Marlon.
Oo, laging hype lagi si DJ Marlon, no?
Yeah. So, it was fun when I started with Wave, man. Like, of course, shout out to boss Gary, yung dati namin station manager, si Gary Kawili.
Shout out.
Ayun. And then the rest of the other rin. So, it was fun. And from there, yun. I just, yun na. From there, everything was just like, phew.
Grabe kasi yung radio gig, no? Ang daming mga events, like
Yeah.
HIN, di ba?
Yeah, because Wave was the perfect, because we had the events and tama-tama. Who do you want to get as a MC and DJ?
MC Dash.
And then we had the DJ Kimosa. Actually, before I came into Wave, we were already doing events with Wave because we used to do Boracay. We did a lot of stuff for them then as well.
So parang nag-flow lang,
Yeah,
perfectly.
everything just kind of like everything just went on its own, like phew, naturally.
Oh.
So talagang that call from Wave talagang really was one of those moments, like mga highlights.
Were you referred by a friend or
Ah,
parang
man, they just called me.
They handpicked you?
Actually, here's the thing. Before that, they were supposed to get me sa K-Light, and I'm like,
K-Light? Medyo smooth. K-Light.
I don't know. We just don't know about that.
Too mellow.
Too
Or
mellow for me, man.
Mellow touch.
Shout outs to that's a sister station, but K-Light wasn't really talagang my yung identity. But then again, Wave talaga was perfect.
Sobrang perfect ang
You know what I mean? And then of course, eventually Nathan came into the picture, Picasso and them.
You
know
own
what I
the
mean?
station na eh. Parang ganun eh.
Kinda.
Parang-
I wish I did.
It went hip-hop na talaga eh. Parang
Yeah,
naging
it
Power
was.
108, diba?
Yes, because wala Power 108. Tapos yung isa pa, yung Blazing 105.9. And so soon afterwards, they were looking for that, I'm like, okay, so Wave na, started picking up its, yung kanyang, sariling yan. So yun na yun.
Even yung song ng Wave eh, yung parang intro.
Yeah, the jingles and all
The jingle,
that.
diba?
Yeah,
Paiba-iba.
the namin, station identification namin, the TOH, top of the hour, namin, songs, na, theme.
And gusto ko ngayon yung sa Wave OG, even yung local talents, you play it eh.
Yeah. At the time, there was still few pa, pero nung pumasok na si Sarge as our station manager, dun na, because he wanted to bring the flow, but in a different way. Because for a while, yung the flow was handled by H-Town when he was with Wave.
Mm.
And then, eventually, si Nathan then, was handling that. So, after that, binalik ulit. And then, nung with Sarge na, he wanted it localized na. He wanted it more on the OPM na, yung the flow. So, yun na yun. So, before the pandemic, pinapaano na niya sa akin yung the flow. Kumbaga, sa'yo na to, Dash. Ikaw nang bahala yung magana na the flow. So, every Wednesday night, after my last hour, which is like, we usually go on like 3 hours lang naman kami. So, on our last hour on a Wednesday, that was that 1 hour, the flow. And I would play na yung mga local.
Local OPM.
And would guest din yung mga local,
Kasi you do interview din sa kanila.
Yeah.
Kasi sa Wave ko unang narinig si Pino G.
Yeah. Actually, before that pa, pinapasok ko na yung mga songs na ni Pino. I was telling, them na, hey, you gotta listen to this guy. This guy right here is so talented. You gotta listen to him. Which, of course, yun na nga, Dirty Room Productions, Maduming Kwarto. Shout out to my man Pino G and the rest of the Maduming Kwarto. Pababa na!
The most known, the most known unknown. Yan.
Yes.
Shout out Lipa Batangas.
Yeah.
Pero grabe yung yung collab niyo with Pino G, yung yung
Wala ni... Misterioso
Misteriosa.
was the... Actually, before nung time na yon, yun na nga, let's go talk about the solo. First solo ko na was Return the Funky One. And of course, shoutouts to Jhego, Lockdown, Team Manila. They helped me, making this album. And of course, shout outs to, of course, Maduming Kwato with Pino G. At the time, I was hanging out with him so much na, I just decided na I'll just make my album here, the studio. And, shout outs to Seth, of course, yung engineer namin. And of course, doon na naglabasan na yung mga si God's Will,
Si God's
Dino, si Ginoong Bernardo. Those are the original DRP guys. And then eventually naging sila Third Flow, sila ZJ, Tony Chrome, and everyone else, as Just Hush, of course.
Just Hush.
So, nung time na we were doing Return the Funky One, had a whole bunch of people on the album, like Decoy, LJ, sila Blaine, all the talaga na I'd worked with sa industry, Just Right, sila Jaime Labrador,
Grabe, no?
Chemical Alley. So this was like a thing that I produced lahat yung mga beats, and then I had all of them sa album. You know what I mean? So that was a good parang first solo venture ko.
Na ang daming featured acts na friends, na
Yeah.
good vibes eh.
Yeah. And then after that, soon after, yun na nga, I was doing other things na with Pino, which is yung One Time for the Motherland.
Oh.
That's where we came out with Misteriosa.
Yan.
Misteriosa, and then yung Walang Limitasyon.
Anong year to, OG? Yung
2013.
2013. Ito yung time na na-meet ko si Isa Calzado sa
Ah!
sa Van Gogh Goes Bipolar.
Oh yeah,
Tapos they had
Van Gogh, Bipolar. Yes, yan
guest celebrity servers there.
Mm-hmm.
Tapos yun yung time na na-meet ko siya na you were releasing that album na. And
I missed that spot.
para makausap ko siya, sabi, so, okay na ba yung album ni Dash? So syempre na-impress yung girlfriend ko. Kasi kinausap ko ni Isa, sabi niya, well, he's still on the works.
Yeah, shout out to my sister
Yeah.
as well, for helping me out then as well with that. She helped me produce the video for Walang Limitasyon,
Very supportive talaga siya eh.
Yeah. When she saw it, she was like, wow.
Damn.
Yeah. And of course, it's directed by Just Hush.
Oh, di ko alam yun na director pala si Just Hush.
Oh, yeah.
Nakikita ko pa directed by Just Hush.
I mean, that boy is very talented in terms of just singing lang and all that, producing. He's actually a good, he directed that music. Well, there was one called Free Flow, which is parang lang naman, teaser lang for the album. And then of course yung yung Music for Ono Type Jeepney. That
Siya
is a
rin
remix.
nag-direct, no? Grabe, no?
Yeah.
Tapos he ventured into singing, no? Tapos nag-hit siya.
He was actually a singer na talaga before.
Before?
From 187 Mobsters na. He was part of 187 Mobsters.
Doon pala yung beginnings niya, no?
Yeah,
And then
yun
he
ang
went-
humble beginnings ni Just Hush eh.
First time ko narinig yun sa Bawal Clan na track eh.
Are You Aliyah?
Are You Aliyah?
With Dizzy Savage and them, yeah.
Who is this dude? Parang the best
Yeah.
Parang-
So he's so talented. I mean, just seeing him work, I'm like, yeah.
And yung vibe niya sa mga ladies, lahat ng friends kong babae, Just Hush eh.
Of course.
Iba yung
Iba yung
appeal eh.
charisma, yung aura niya, di
May
ba?
tag appeal si Just Hush.
Yes. Tondo Sinatra eh.
Tondo.
Tondo boys in the building, yo. Shout out to you guys.
Shout out sa mga taga-Tondo.
So yun na nga, at that time when we were doing that, Run the Funky One Time for the Mother, then Music for Owner Type Jeepney came out na. We were doing that, yun na nga. Doon na namin nilagay yung Walang Limitasyon. Then we worked on other music na like Prestiosa.
Oh.
Prestiosa is the one with Psych
Yeah.
and Bamboo. Not Bamboo the singer, but Bamboo
foreign
from
rapper.
LA, yes.
Yeah.
The film,
BAMBU.
BAMBU.
Yeah, Bamboo. Tumagal din sa Pilas yun, di ba? Dami niyang
He was here, yeah. He stayed here for a while. I mean, he didn't stay actually, but he just came here for a series of mga shows, like yung sa Master Plan dati, yung yung second ng Master Plan, and then he eventually did his yung sarili yung Rent Money, the Rent Money tour.
Very skilled kasi siya na rapper.
And then he started in other, basta he just would go here back and forth na si Bamboo. So shout out to you, Bam.
Pero grabe yung yung eksena ngayon, no? Pero
Oh, yeah.
it started dun sa beatmatics na elevating the beat, the sound.
Yeah, like me, Loki, and Art Strong, we talagang kinda would work on other like type of tracks, and so that kind of eventually grew into like the whole beatmatics with kasama na si shoutouts Jameer. Of course, si Nathan J was part of it na rin, si Delete, and then si Picasso.
Oh, Picasso, who's now based in the US ba?
Yeah, but he'll be back. He'll be back.
Hopefully.
Yeah, he'll be back. So yun na yun eh. That's what started it all for us as Beatmatics eh. When we were working on Decoy's Black Katipunero album. At that time it was still called ano pa rin Wika pa eh. But eventually nung mga later na, yeah.
Pero grabe yung movement na yun, OG, no? Yung from dun sa Plastic H na album.
Yeah. Tapos ito na.
Lahat denominate yung clothing.
Yeah, we got clothing. Oo. And eventually, yun na nga, other stuff as well. You know, so that album basically, you know, the Black Katipunero for me is another classic then, you know. It's everything from production sa akin, kay Art, kay Loki,
Documentation.
and everything. Yes. And we even launched it nung time remember when DJ Jazzy Jeff came here?
Seventh High.
Seventh High.
Seventh High, though. I remember that.
That was
grabe.
it. That was the whole ano na for me. That was ano na.
Kasi
I'm like,
international shit na yun eh.
Yeah.
DJ Jazzy Jeff, di
DJ
ba?
Jazzy Jeff, tapos si Mad Skills. I'm like, what? These are
Grabe.
my idol ko to. I grew up listening to even Jazzy Jeff. That's the DJ ni Fresh Prince, Will Smith.
Kaya napakalaki ni Koy, no, na parang siya yung napili ng group to represent the whole sound eh.
Yeah, of course, because you know, Koi is pretty much a very talented, you know, artist. You know, he's a visionary. You know, and yung you know, so sad na just losing him this year because of you know, parang it was parang you know, shocking. You know, but then you know, his legacy
Lives on.
you know, so we will continue what he started, you know. So with that being, you know, with the, and of course Recognize, kaya nga with Recognize 2, ito, yung ginagawa namin with Def Jam Philippines, it's something na talagang close to us kasi nga, you know, ito yung sinimula ni Koy eh, with the first Recognize. And so with this one talagang, this is something na very historical kasi imagine mo, 149 artists, 15 producers to be exact. And so you have a bunch of songs na like, ang dami.
From the Pacquiao song, no?
Yeah, and then I mean like with this Recognized ano pa lang, project, you know, 4 EPs, bawat ano is 5 songs. So there's a whole bunch of it, you know. Talagang
Big project talaga.
big project. So shout outs to you, Daddy A. Actually, meron kami production kami nun eh. Kami tatlo ni Koy at saka ni Daddy A. We're called Triple D Productions.
Oh.
Dash, Daddy A, Decoy.
Damn.
But still, you know, we continue that. We will continue that pa rin.
Buti nga, ano eh, OG, parang hindi kayo nawawala dun sa connection ninyo with one another. Kahit may kanya-kanya kayong ano eh,
Yeah.
record label na hawak. Like you, like
Yeah.
you're finding new talent din, diba?
Yeah, I have artists, Funky Entertainment. Shout out to Carl Banayad, Joe G, Quago Gang. Of course, we have some singers, sila Kel Nolasco, and of course, Iana Arensol. So these are really young, talented, ano talaga, yung promising artists. Na talagang they're really talagang so gifted. You know, and of course sila Ozzy and Kev Estrada, Floodway Music.
Shout out.
Si Jorge Vigilante from Iloilo, and si Jay Friday, who's part of sa Floodway Music din, and Ereb ng of course Kalokals. Kalokals.
Grabe yung collective na yun, no? Talagang all out sila sa sa lahat eh.
Yeah, and so and of course the One Way. Some of my artists from
Marfori.
Yes, One Way Marfori, who's now One Way, not One Way now.
Oh, ginamang parang one lazy.
Because One, Funky One. And of course, shoutouts pa rin sila kila Delicado Uno, and of course kay Noe Mahiwaga. You know.
Dati may may parang internet show. Ginawa nila, in-interview nila ako. Parang ano ba yun? Parang CZG Studios.
Oh yeah,
ba yun?
CZG, that was the boombox. I was part of that.
Tapos parang kinula ko nung parang friend nilang girl na, ay, gusto mo ma-interview? Sige, push. Tapos
Yeah.
doon ko na-meet si One Way sa kasi No Way.
I think I wasn't there nung time na yun. Or was I there?
Wala.
Oh yeah, I wasn't there. I was absent nung time na yun. But then yeah, I remember those were those days na CZG Studios.
Oh, shout out.
Yeah,
Grabe,
set up kay
no?
Jason of Nexus and Ma'am.
So ngayon, OG, ang path na patungo nyo is producing new talents as well as yung elevating yung music.
Yeah, just trying to push them then, trying to get their music out then, and just trying to be, mentoring.
Yung young ones.
Yeah, just kind of like what I've learned kila Boom, what I've learned in kila Sarge, all the stuff that I've learned, and, you know, my experiences go and wisdom as not just an artist, but you know, everything. So I pass it on to them then, and it's just pretty much, you know, ang inaano ko sa kanila.
Buti
Kumbaga, yung
nakikinig sila, no? Parang,
that's the good thing about them, is at least they're willing and open and learning talaga to be, you know.
may mga iba kasi talagang mga pasaway. Ayaw makinig, eh. Parang,
Yeah, true.
Parang, parang feeling na we're up here, we will never go down.
Because you know why? Because of technology now. Because anyone now can just have their own thing. Anyone can just upload whatever. Anyone can just come out with whatever now.
Yeah.
So they don't need anyone else talaga. But then they just have to have this parang standalone thing. You know, this mentality of just, they can do it on their own now because they pretty much have the means. They have the gadgets, they have the equipment. You know, they have just the studio and they're learning how to make this and that. Ano na sila eh, parang everyone now is like multi-talented na. An artist can just be not just an MC na, but can do almost anything now.
Napaka-versatile na ngayon.
Yeah, you know, so that's a good thing. It's a good thing. Yes. So I actually salute this next generation of artists that are actually doing that.
Oo.
You know, unlike kasi before talaga, it was hard for us.
Purist, no?
Not really purist, but it was hard for us back in the days kasi, biro mo, we had to find a studio. We had to find a producer to produce our beat. Parang ganun, you know, you had to find talagang a way for you to be heard, your demos. You know, the old school way of handling your demos. Sir, please listen to my demo.
You can't just go all out kasi parang mapipigilan ka ng parang pader eh. Parang I can't put it out there kasi wala akong kakilala sa ganun.
And because there wasn't an information age pa ng time na yun. Like totally there was, but then again, it was just starting pa lang. I mean, everything was still dial-up pa eh.
Bonanza. ISP Bonanza, di ba?
Yeah, AIM, Yahoo.
MIRC.
MIRC. ASL?
Pero,
hindi ba talaga?
pero yun yung mahirap sa rapper OG, no? You have to be kinda, parang to adapt with the times.
Yeah.
At nakikita ko kay Naz yun eh. Parang nag-a-adapt siya sa social media. Lagi siya naka-Instagram.
Well,
ngayon.
everyone now, like from my era, like everyone now has to actually, that's a good actually way for us to utilize, you know, yung knowledge namin from before, we apply it to
Yung
today.
current.
Yeah. So it's an advantage for actually, for like sila Nas, or sila Jay-Z, or even DJ Khaled, or even Fat Joe.
Oh.
Or even L Cool J. L Cool J's got Rock the Bells. He's got his own thing now, di ba? So all these artists are really talagang banking in having their own na rin, you know.
Oo.
Di ba? So
like parang andyan yung social media.
yeah.
Grab it, di ba?
Ito mo si Joe Budden nga, he has a podcast, di ba? Yung ano niya.
Ay, oo. Pati
Noriega
Ghetto Boys.
has Drinking Champs.
Ghetto Boys, they have a podcast. Sila Willie D sa kasi Scarface.
Okay, so yeah, see? And because, you know, they try to dabble into politics then.
Oh, di ba?
You know, I mean, there's a lot of rin that maybe because you know, when you mature na and you at this age, like yeah, because with Jay-Z and them, you know, being such a, you know, Dr. Dre's another rin, you know, Beats
by Drake.
Beats Radio, you know, sila ni Jimmy Iovine making beats, yung Beats music and all that. So everything now again is just business na, entrepreneurialism na talaga eh. That's the next step na. So you've already proved yourself that you're an artist. You've already proved yourself that you've made so much music and records now. So what's your next step? Just actually, you know, be venturing na in other stuff na rin.
Yeah, stuff that you like, no?
Yeah. And again, you know, like for example, sa label, you know, even if you're a sub-label, you're still independent because you have the freedom to do whatever you want. You're not tied with just because, you know, you're signed with a label. You're not actually signed with a label if you're a sub-label. You're just actually working with them and they're just distributing your music. You know, but then anyone now can do that. Like again, I said, you know, anyone can just put their music on Spotify or DistroKid for any.
Tama. Anyone can buy yung mga equipments online na, no?
Yeah, we have this online shopping networks. You know, so it's so na rin eh, you know. But then that's pretty much you gotta work on, you know, because this is the future now. You know, we're pretty much gotta, like you said, you gotta adapt to na rin. You know, a lot of
Pag hindi ka nag-evolve, you'll die.
Exactly. Evolution is a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get with the times talaga, or else you'll be left behind.
Exactly.
You know, even if you're not pa rin, but there's, you know, you actually learn. You know, you could use social media as a really good tool, eh? And not just something na para bang, you know, most of the time some people they rant and all that kind of stuff then, you know, but then, you know, there's a good way to use it. for marketing and all that, for your music, for whatever it is that you want to, product.
Tama.
Product placement, brand day. It's all about the brands, man. You create your brand. Like Funky One is a brand, actually, not just a label, but it's a brand.
You have mugs na rin of Funky One, di ba?
Yeah, we have
And
merch. I have
shirts,
merch. But even before we came out, yung Music for Owner type jeepney shirts, Legit Misfitz shirts, all the other stuff. Then One Time for the Motherland. So talagang everything was just that's being part of a entrepreneur because you sell your merch. Eh.
It came full circle na rin.
Even food. I even came out with a vegan bagoong.
Ay, oo.
See? And then we have the mugs and all that. And then I just came out recently with a funky, yung Funky by Nature shirt. So, ano pa rin siya? That's part of it.
Nag-branch out lang siya, no?
Exactly. So when they're familiar now with they see the logo, they know that, oh, that's Funky Entertainment. Oh, that's Moto Beats.
Tama.
Or, oh, this is ganito, ganyan. They know. Especially shout out to Moto Beats. Shout out to my boy DJ Med Messiah.
Grabe yung
That
movement
boy's
din niya.
Yes. That's my day one dude, man. Yan, kami si Psych Art, Vibe Station Days, man.
Oh,
Lahat kami, itong mga ganitong ginagawa namin, natutunan namin lang yan kay Kuya Boom eh.
Oh.
And just being humble about it as well.
Pero si Boom lagi siyang on the sidelines, pero grabe yung niya, yung
Yeah.
brainstorming, no?
The vision and all that. Visionary, So, all that natutunan namin sa kanya. So, like for example, what Med is doing with his merchandise. You know, he's really now into clothing talaga, like jeans, tops and all that, even sandals na rin,
Grabe, no?
And it's already being shipped na sa US. People are buying it from the States and all that. So, I'm proud of that. Proud of my friend.
Na-feature nga siya kay Jokoy, di ba?
Yes. Oh, that's what kind of, set off everything na because of Joe Coy. So shout out to you, Joe Coy, and if ever you need me, man.
Yeah.
You and Isa are friends naman anyways. My sister.
US tour.
Oh, diba? Funky One Moto Beats. Walang katapat, wapak.
So, what's next in the near future, OG?
What's...
Like sa Boracay, di ba? May Boracay trip kayo, di ba? Are you gonna invading Boracay, di ba?
Oh yeah, I'll be invading Boracay again for how many? It's been what, since 2006, man. So yeah, so
Parang reunion ni Art Strong to, no?
Yeah, no, and it's my with reconnecting with Boracay again.
Yeah.
It's been that
Ganda ng
long,
vibe.
man. Yeah.
To think na it was shut down.
Yeah.
Kinuha yung entertainment. Tapos ngayon binabalik na ulit.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. It's healthy kasi you need that. It's a different vibe. It's the island vibe. And I love being in an island as well.
Yeah.
And of course with Legit naman, we just started again doing shows. Ito lang over the weekend, we just did a show sa Spirits Bar. And then we're gonna have another one. So tuloy-tuloy na rin with Legit.
How was it yung first time na nag-show kayo ng live?
In a long time.
Oo.
It was just like parang yesterday lang. It was just like 20, 30 years ago.
Yung mga tao, sobrang hype na sila. No?
Well, I mean, you have the new kids now that were like, but then when they heard Jabonggga, they were like, oh, sila pala
we know, di ba?
Wish Bus.
Grabe kasi yung retention ng song eh.
But other songs kasi syempre they won't pero if they hear Jabonggga talaga, which is talagang the staple,
They dance to it.
That and Chinelas or But then Jabonggga talaga was really talagang fun for us to do.
Pero right now, OG, yung movement ng hip-hop, like I see shows na produced by mga local, mga batang hip-hop art. Grabe, dumog. Dumog.
Like I said, because again, everyone's just stand alone and everyone's doing, the hustle na eh. That's pretty much their hustle, their way of talagang creating something, and at the same time, they will generate funds from it. But then again, that's not what they're really. They're for the passion and the love for what they do.
The community, di ba?
And the community as well. So, ang kukulit nga because when they do their music, when they do their videos, syempre it's nila yan eh. So pag na-promote nila din and they'll come out with their self-album launch or video launch pa. So they'll eventually do their own events.
Sila yung nag-organize, sila yung nag-direct ng mga beats nila.
Yeah, oh. Because ako rin, when I remember when I did yung launch nung Return of the Funky One music video, you were there, man. You were there.
Iba
You
was
saw
there.
it. You were a witness. You witnessed it, man.
What was your role there? Tambay.
Hey, everyone had fun.
Oo.
That was a great moment, and that was a good night talaga. Parang I will never forget. Yeah, that was the best. That was the best. Even if, let's say, B-side of all things. B-side, the collective.
B-side, ah.
Ooh, wala nang B-side eh.
Oo.
Huh?
I remember it was Puno.
It was, yeah, but it was intimate in the sense that tama, sakto lang yung tao,
All friends.
Yeah,
All friends.
everybody from LJ was there.
Oh.
Even sila 187 Moms, of course, sila Pino G, everyone, man.
Saya,
Sila
saya
third,
naman.
Yep. FMCC was there.
Sana document.
Manila, sila Rai were there. DJ Jenna, Spin for Manila.
Grabe.
So it's yung mga ganung masasayang That's why I mean when I see these kids do their own parang nasasaya na ako, natutuwa.
That was me before, di ba?
Yeah, that was kind of like, yeah, we were doing that, and then of course everyone is doing that. And so I'm like, I'm happy, proud. Yeah.
So, OG, any
Anyway,
Any thoughts? Any thoughts on
Any
the
thoughts?
scene on the scenes? Like,
I don't really want to say like if it's thoughts or anything. To me, it's like everything's progressive. Everything's just progressing. Everyone should be just productive about what they're doing with their music. You know what I mean? Just come out with new stuff. I mean, there's so many artists now, even like yung mga that are really making noise, like XB and them.
Oh,
you know what I
especially.
mean? Shout outs to them because they've reached to this point that they've made so much, and they're really talagang I'm like.
So parang mga Lil Wayne na yung dating.
I'm not just. I mean, I know, but in a sense, we never had that privilege of making that kind of reaching that pinnacle. They've actually did that.
Yung success na.
Yeah, that success.
Ballin'.
The success that now they can actually really afford to really, like with us, we could, but then we enjoyed what we were doing, and I can see that they enjoy what they're doing, but then it's on a different level.
Yo.
You know what I mean? So shout outs to them. Shout outs to the ones that are, like especially to the price tag. Other artists like sila Paul and Ballin, all the other cats now that are actually even Acid Minds, 8 Ballin, VBS Collective.
Oh.
All these young artists are just really making noise. You know what I mean? Sila Sky, sila Tiffany Lane,
Diba?
Zay, So I'm really happy na it came to this this point na sobrang ang laki na ng movement natin sa Pinas. Biro mo, like I always say, back in the days, ganito lang kami. We will only fit in one hand. Now, you can't seem to fit in one hand because sa sobrang dami, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's really overwhelming na talaga. I mean, you still have Glock 9 pa rin doing his thing, and you have
Shanty dope.
but then you still have us, you still have Master Plan pa rin, even if they're in the States.
Yeah.
The
TAT crew, di ba?
Of course, Asiatic Tribe.
Death Threat, Master Plan.
Yeah, Death Threat is
Legit.
still, it's
Oh.
like, shout outs to you, Beware, kumpare, sila Conflict.
Oh.
Even if they're not here, but then they're there, but then they're still doing their
They're
thing.
still doing their thing.
It's all about, and again, at the end of the day, it's all about respect. Respecting, everyone.
Yeah.
Not just, from your peers, but everyone. Old, that's why I would recognize talaga, we just really wanted to bridge the gap between old school and new school and just do something talaga creatively, not just because you're old school or new school, but because you're just one, you're hip hop.
Yeah.
Yun
Yun.
it's
Talaga yun.
and that's pretty much the of hip hop is peace, unity, love, and having fun. That's basically what really hip hop is. All these disses and battles and all that. That's pretty much part of the because we all know that hip hop is, ego driven, and at the same time everyone's about the competition.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, pa rin, it's all about just having that passion and just creating more.
Yeah, and collaborating with one another.
Collaboration, yes, indeed.
Hatakan pataas.
Hatakan
If you're
pataas.
there on the top level,
Yeah.
tulungan mo yung
Yeah,
brothers mo.
walang hilang pababa, tama na yung mga talangka mentality and all that
Oo.
system, just work together, do something, for the cause and for the movement, Of course, shout outs like, isa pa is All Blacks, they're doing their thing.
Making a comeback, no?
Yeah.
Mga beats
So
nila.
shout outs to Chaos and of course the Uno of IPK and the rest of the crew. So it's just for me, hip hop talaga is what got me to where I am and what put food on on the table and what supported my family and my kids and all that. So it's hip hop till the day that I die.
Yeah.
till the casket drops, man.
Yun ang mahalaga doon.
Yeah, because hip hop is eternal culture. You should remember that, and that's from coming from yours truly. And because if you are hip hop, you don't just represent it; you are it. Again, as the saying goes, rap is something you do, but hip hop is something you live. It's a lifestyle. Because we all can relate to it because it started from nothing and now it started, it's a global thing now. Who would have thought?
Would have thought.
Who would have thought that you'd be in a commercial? Hip hop would be in that kind of like that's why you have billionaires now like Jay-Z, Dr. Dre. Soon it's gonna be like that here in Narin, And just me being there as an observer, looking at it from from my point of view, as just not just an OG or just an Ren or an old school guy, but just as a person, looking at it like, hey, I guess we did a good job.
Good job.
So we won't. I'm not trying to ask anything in return, but just to have the love and respect and I guess at the end of the day, then same. It's like a mutual thing with one another. Then, so shout outs to everyone, including you, my man. Thank you.
So we can end on that, OG. So we're
shout outs to you, Jhego. I cannot forget you, my man.
So where can they find you? Social media?
Social media, you can follow us on Facebook and on I'm not doing Twitter anymore, but Facebook and Instagram at Funky One Entertainment. Of course, my personal account, back to Calzado, and of course, artist page, Facebook, Calzado, aka Mighty Joe Young. Legit Misfitz as well. We have our artist page as well. If you guys want to book us for shows and all that kind of stuff. Speaking of shows, this December. So we want to fill our calendars for this December, sana, with a lot of shows. So if you want to book us, and if you want to experience JABONGGA live and other songs that we've had like 4 albums. Okay, Sons of Flip Hop, Ekis Pinoy, Balik sa Lumang Eskwela, and then of course, Sandang Porsyento, and a couple of other stuff. Our solos as well. So, yeah.
Book them. Lahat ng link nila, lagay ko sa link sa below.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Click,
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 and book.
Click and book. So that, and of course, don't forget yung mga artists under Funky Entertainment. We've already had a lot of releases na since September. Sila Vigilante, sila Erib, Quago Gang, si Ozzy and Kev already. So if you want to check out their music, it's it's out on Spotify, and it's under, of course, Funky Entertainment, Def Jam Philippines. Okay, shout out to Daddy A and Erwin and everyone else.
Okay, and with that, we out.
We are out. Peace.